What's going on, everybody?
Hello, hello.
Scott and Rachel with Turnaround Marriage. And we want to talk in this video about a pattern we see a lot. Husbands running away, wives chasing and pursuing their husbands, and this vicious cycle that you can get stuck in when a husband's shutting down, when a wife is like, why don't you love me? I want to talk about this. Let's talk about our problems. And the husband he shuts down even more. And we see this happening so often. So we're going to talk about what can go wrong, what you need to do instead, and what you can do about it. Okay, so we're going to dive right in.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, like and subscribe this. It's been a while since we've been able to put some content out. We've been really busy on the phones with people that need our help. And as you might imagine, there's a lot of people out there that do. And so here's the thing, with all those conversations that we have, we're seeing these patterns over and over again. And this is the one that really comes up an awful lot. And that's this dynamic of where there is a growing disconnection that happens. And it might be that life is happening. It might be we're getting busy with kids, or it's sickness that we're going through, difficulties financially or with the kid, with work, whatever it would be. And it's like there is this disconnection that grows. And the wife gets to this place where she's feeling disconnected from her husband. She doesn't feel loved by him. And so in order to get something out of him, it's almost like she'll start to pursue him. She'll start chasing after him, trying to wake him up, trying to shake him, say, I'm here. Will you love me? Will you come after me? When in reality, she's chasing after him. And the man, a lot of times he's like tired, maybe tired at the end of the day, and he's wanting to please his wife. He's wanting for things to be okay. And he's like running away sometimes because he doesn't want to argue. He just wants peace. And so he starts running the other way. He starts distancing himself, and then she starts pursuing her. And then it's like this vicious cycle. And sometimes it can go on for years and years and years, and they get exhausted and they wonder, why are we exhausted?
It's absolutely true. And the funny thing is, it's not really funny, but it's interesting, is that the very thing that the husband needs to be doing, he's not doing. The very thing the wife needs, she's not getting. And so neither one of them are getting their needs met. They're both starving in the marriage, and he's feeling frustrated and beat up, and because she's most likely pushing his buttons. She's trying to get something out of him, but he's shutting down. He's just walking away. He doesn't want to fight. He's tired. And he has no clue why his wife is so unhappy. And she continues to chase him, pursue him, push buttons. She wants to get something out of him. She's like, why won't you talk to me? She might get upset. She might get tearful. She might get angry. She might lash out. That makes him shut down even more.
Yes.
And so this vicious cycle that you can get stuck in, both of you are absolutely starving for what you need in the marriage, which should we talk about what the women need and what the men need?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, let's get to that. You know, the thing is, like, at the heart of it, they're both looking for what they're longing for.
Right.
Like, it's not like the wife is wanting to get a rise out of him and make him mad. And so she can start to beat herself up too. It's like, I feel she can feel really bad. Like, all I'm doing is upsetting him. And she feels like really lonely, isolated, upset, hurt. And she's also probably beating herself up too, because she knows this isn't working, but she doesn't know what to do. And the guy, he's like, I just need to get away. I'm going to explode. I'm going to be so upset if I stick around. And it's like, it feels like the most honorable path for both of them in the moment. And in reality, it's just making things worse. Right. Mm-hmm. So yes, please share.
And much of it is how they're wired too, right? Because women, we tend to be verbal processors, and we like to get it out by talking it out. And so often men are mental processors. They think, and their gears are spinning, that they're not saying anything. And that just can exasperate a wife who's desperate to connect with her husband. So she might be secretly crying in the bathroom. She might be feeling really lonely. She might be trying to escape from, in romance novels, or scrolling, or just spending money, or maybe even just eating. Like, because she's so hungry to connect, so hungry to feel loved and wanting to connect. And yet the way she's going about it is pushing her husband away further. And the very thing the husband needs to be doing, he's not doing, because he's so beat down. It's like, I never do anything right. She constantly nags me. I'm constantly at fault. And he's just feeling exasperated too. He's not feeling honored. He's not feeling respected. He's not feeling like the man. He's not feeling appreciated for how hard he's working, for how much he's trying. And so people can get really stuck. And what's ironic is we were in that vicious cycle ourselves.
That's true.
For a good decade of
we
our
can
20
explain this pretty well too, because we've lived there.
Now I joke about it, and I'm like, okay, I remember those days, Scott, when I used to get on my broomstick and fly around the house chasing you and flying after you. He's like, yeah, I remember.
Well, I also didn't realize how much I was pushing you away by just trying to keep the peace, trying to keep the calm. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
This is what I would want to anchor for everybody. It's like we can get in these ruts for years and wonder why it's not working, because here's the thing. It's like you're going with the way that you're kind of wired, but actually what you're longing for, it's never going to happen. And the way you're doing marriage is the exact opposite of the way that God's designed it.
Yeah.
The exact opposite. Because how does a woman feel loved? But by being pursued by her husband.
Yes.
When he is there present, and like, even if she's a little upset or pushing his buttons, like, he's going to be there. He's not going to be afraid of her emotions. He's not going to be afraid of her. He's going to stand there and be present with her.
Mm-hmm.
And equally so for the man, like, he's not necessarily asking for a lot. He just wants to know that what he's doing, leading the family, providing whatever it would be, like, he wants to know that it matters. He wants to know that he's enough. That's how he feels love. And so it should be almost the other way,
Absolutely.
And the husband pursuing his wife, loving her that way, and the husband then being welcomed there. Not this vicious cycle going the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing is, when you start doing it God's way, everything can begin to change. Like, I was just talking with one of our clients today, and he was sharing with me, he's like, everything's really different. I don't know what I did, but everything's really different. And we talked about like how he's doing, not the vicious cycles, how he's actually pursuing his wife and giving to her what she needs. And like, she in turn is starting to give back to him. And we're not even working with her. But it's interesting that one person can really change those dynamics, specifically in this dynamic.
Yeah, the whole dynamic changes when one person goes first. And so whether maybe you're a wife out there and you've been crying and frustrated and telling your husband how you feel, and you don't seem to feel like he's hearing you or seeing you, and you feel so alone, and you're like, why is he pushing me away? Why is he shutting down? Why won't he tell me what's wrong? And you're talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. If that's you, we want you to know there is a better path.
Absolutely.
Right? When you can learn how to deal with your heart differently, when you can learn how to deal with those big emotions you're feeling, and how to truly learn how to surrender that in your body, in your heart, in your mind, and give it to God, and learn to nourish the marriage differently, give your husband the honor and respect and appreciation that he's desperate for. Guess what? You're going to be pursued. And likewise, if you're a husband out there and your wife just seems like she's coming at you, and you've been shutting down, you've been trying to walk away, you're trying to keep the peace, and you don't want to fight, but you've been avoiding hard conversations, you've been avoiding the truth, you don't want to deal with it because it might be too messy, or it might feel too uncomfortable, and maybe you didn't, that wasn't modeled for you in your home growing up. And if you've been feeling like your wife is constantly coming at you, you can change the dynamics by learning how to turn toward your wife, by learning how to handle her big emotions, by learning how to truly help her feel heard and loved, seen, by you pursuing her. It takes a lot of courage to do it when you felt beat down. Might be a lot of work that needs to be done around, who are you in Christ? Who are you? Are you just this not enoughness of the sum of your failures, the sum of what you haven't done right? Or are you more than that? Can you learn how to step into being more than a conqueror? Like, there's so much that can change by the work that we get to do with people every single day who are finding themselves stuck in this cycle and learning how to get unstuck by whoever's willing to go first. And that's the great thing. Like, the good news is this is a fixable pattern, but it needs to be fixed before it gets too late, because often a husband will be stuffing his feelings and getting resentful and getting frustrated. And he'll get to the point where it's just like, one day he's like, I'm out. And we don't know when that point is, right? That might be his cry for help, to say, look, it has to change. Or that might be when he really is done. We don't know. But the sooner you can address this, the better, because so much can change.
You're right on. And the thing that also we hear a lot of times is people will say, I'm trying everything. I'm doing everything. Yeah. They're doing everything that they as a woman or they as a man would want. And they wonder why it's not working, because they're trying to give to their husband what a woman would want, and vice versa. And it doesn't work that way. And it never will, because God has wired male and female differently. Of course he has. Male and female, he created them. And it's not a construct. This is the design. Plus, there are the I would say, even with the fall, there are the inclinations around sin that comes up too.
Sure.
And so we've got to go back to God's design. And that's what we would really urge you towards. That's what we want you to hear us say today. If you're in this place, maybe you never even realized it before today, but you've been operating in a path that's not honoring to God because you're not doing marriage the way God's designed it. And you're looking, you realize that things haven't been working, and you've been looking for a pathway. Maybe you've been thinking that maybe you've done everything you could try, everything you've known to do. You've read all the books and things haven't been changing. What we want you to do is, maybe you're feeling really isolated. We want you to reach out and email us. Tell us your story. You can even just comment below. If you see this video, just comment there, or email us at Scott@Turnaround Marriage. Tell us your story. Tell us where you're getting stuck, and tell us how long that this has been this way. And we'd love to hear like what you're hoping things can be. And maybe we can direct you from there, how we might be able to help you, or if nothing else, just for you to be heard. And that's a powerful thing too. But we're just here to say, it is not okay to keep staying here. It's not going to work well for you. It's not modeling for your kids the marriage that you would want it to be. It's not modeling a marriage that honors God. It's not a marriage that's helpful or close and connected. It is dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional. And it is in it, but the beauty of it is that it can change. And when it does, and you start flooding a marriage with nourishment and encouragement and feeding the other person what they need, feeding the marriage, change is inevitable. Mm-hmm. And it can happen very quickly, way faster than most people would imagine, and way faster than just talking about problems, but actually instituting the right kind of tools in God's design.
Absolutely. And that's what we get the joy of doing every single day. So please email Scott@turnaroundmarriage.com or comment below. If you're stuck in that pattern, we'd love to help best direct you, because if your wife is chasing you, and husbands, if you're running and you're shutting down and you're walking away, you've got to break that pattern. You've got to break that pattern before it's too late. And there is hope and help available.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So email Scott@turnaroundmarriage.com, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk soon.